Good afternoon. Welcome to the October 20th, 2020 meeting of the Town Council Charter Review Committee. In accordance with Massachusetts general law, this meeting is being videotaped and audio recorded, as well as being remotely broadcasted via a Zoom webinar. If there is anyone in our viewing audience who is taping this meeting, would you please announce yourself?
There is no one.
Seeing and hearing none. And Jeff, you're missing in action again. Marilyn Richards will be a voting member at today's meeting because William Fonseca will be absent, and we're expecting Phil Adams. He should be here, but he will be late. Okay.
I'm here, Larry.
Who's here? There's Jeff.
I see him.
Thank you.
Missing in action.
Hold it, Jeff. Here's to you.
You're mixing him up with Ralph.
That's my problem, always. All right, we left off last time on Article 5, which is administrative organization. Section 3, the second paragraph. And let me quickly read it again. Members of boards and commissions established under this charter may receive actual and necessary expenses incurred in the performance of their duties and may receive such compensation as may be authorized and established by the town council within limits of an appropriation made for that purpose, period.
Point of order, Larry. Don't we have to approve minutes first?
We would, but I didn't see any.
We didn't
Oh,
get
that's right.
And I didn't want to embarrass anyone, Jeff.
Oh, sorry.
And to tell you the truth, someone will have to tell me at another time who was doing them so we can push them a little bit.
that
Wow.
person is not here.
Okay, I got a feeling I know who it is.
That's my other brother.
So, Jeff, I'll leave it in your hands to refresh our memories if we don't see them before next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, discussion on this particular paragraph, please. To refresh your memories, we were discussing the word may. There was some talk of changing that to shall.
Oh, that was correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Marilyn.
No, did you have your, I'm
No,
sorry.
I didn't. No, you-
Okay. I've thought about this a little bit, and just by changing that one word from may to shall, in my opinion, changes the whole thrust of what I believe the charter is saying here. If we basically require it, I think that takes the charter into a procedural situation between the town manager and the subcommittees. And I don't believe that it's proper for it to be happening at the charter, but rather more as an operational opportunity. I think to say shall will empower expenses to be incurred that may or may not be correct, or may not be should be within the power of this charter to direct. So that's why I think that we should leave it alone.
Yes, Andy.
I think one of the other points that we had talked about last meeting was what if there was not an appropriation made for a particular expense?
That's my point, right?
Right. Which is prohibited in another section of the charter. Yes, Marilyn.
Just in addition, I understand the rationale for why this request was being made at a previous meeting. And, we might support such an opportunity, but I don't think it's the charter's decision to make that. I think um, subcommittee members being reimbursed for expenses needs to come from an understanding between the town manager and the committee as to their scope of responsibilities and fulfilling those responsibilities. If there are expenses, they should be compensated, but there's too much information out there that we don't know. So I think we should leave it alone.
You think it would make sense to add wording in there? Involving the town manager in some point. Would he or she be the one to approve these expenses and direct where the money would come from?
Is that a question?
Yes.
I think initially it's either the board, committee, or individual within the town. We'll use Tom Christensen as a guinea pig. Tom expends money in his performance of one of his many tasks within DPW. And he submits, normally I would think within his department, to either the superintendent or some person within the department. And then they would approve or disapprove. If approved, it probably would go on to the financial director's office, who then, if that's approved, presents the entire warrant for expenditures for that week, or if they do it bi-weekly. And the bottom line is the signature, I believe, the town manager has to sign off. In prior form of government, it was the selectman who would be the final sign-off. And that includes not only expenditures on the town side, but the school side. The school internally has a separate warrant that goes through their business office and their protocol. But then every single town within the expenditure, I believe it's still signed off now by the town manager.
Okay, so the town manager would actually be the last link in the chain, not the first that I was thinking of.
It could be approved, disapproved, at a number of steps along the way.
Okay.
Larry,
Yes,
if I may. Okay, the way it works for conservation, and I'm sure it's the same for planning board, any expenses for mileage or any other expenses there's certain sheets that are filled out and they get presented to the town manager for approval, and then they go to the finance director for disbursement of the funds.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So there's already an established chain, if
Yes.
you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question, if I may, Larry, so the question is that after you have filled out all of this information, as was explained to us, at least at the last meeting, that you're not getting reimbursed for the expenses? When you go through the protocol and use the established forms or procedure, you're not reimbursed? I mean, I'm wondering why we're changing may to shall. And I'm directing this to Jeff. I'm sorry, Larry, is it okay?
Yep.
Well, it was Ralph who brought up the
Right.
changing the terminology.
Okay, but I just assumed, I mean, we were told that it was because of some situations that had happened with the Conservation Commission. And so why are we doing this?
I don't know.
I
Well,
don't know what the situation that he's referring to.
Okay, okay.
Well, seeing or hearing no motion, unless someone wants to bring it up at a later meeting, I'll consider no action on this paragraph. The next section is section 4, appointment of board, commission, and committee members. The town manager shall appoint, comma, and may suspend or remove, comma, subject to the provisions of the civil service law where applicable, and except as otherwise authorized by the charter, comma, members of boards, comma, committees, and commissions, period. Appointments of members of the Board of Assessors, Board of Public Works, comma, library trustees, comma, planning board, comma, housing authority, comma, and Board of Health made by the town manager shall become effective unless rejected by a majority of town council members by roll call vote within 45 days or at the next regular town council meeting, comma, whichever comes first, period. Discussion, comments, questions? I want to point out that this wording is slightly, it lacks the full wording that we saw in the article on, pardon me,
Manager.
in Article 3, under Town Manager, Section 2, regarding the appointment of the police chief, fire chief, etc., because in the one I just read, after the words within 40 days for those, 45 days for those positions, the wording in the prior appointment section was within 45 days, and here's the missing wording, of the town manager's presentation of the name and qualifications of the recommended candidate for the position to the town council. Because otherwise, within 45 days of when, one would question. Everyone follow that?
Yeah, basically, we're in the same situation. They could be hired and then the council rejects it and then they've got to be terminated or whatever action needs to follow.
Yeah, I think the way it was wording, and I apologize, I don't remember why we didn't include that wording in the original commission. I just don't have an answer. Otherwise, when does the 45 days begin? If you read it as is.
At the appointment.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that as of the date that town manager makes the appointment,
Well, we're guessing,
we are.
okay? And I'm wondering if the wording that's in our prior section should be inserted, so rather than appointment, it's when submitted. But Tom has a response.
Well, I'm just saying, I wonder if that was left out because you're talking about department heads that would have gone through interviews and have resumes, and that's missing is the presentation of the name and qualifications of the recommended candidate, right?
After this, in this particular section, after 45 days, what's lacking is it's within 45 days of the town manager's presentation of the name and qualification of the recommended candidate for the position to the town council. Do you
Right.
follow?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you might not necessarily have anything to present. Somebody volunteers for Conservation Commission, and are they submitting a resume and all? I mean, you're talking about submitting name and qualifications and all this stuff. So what do they have to veto on? There's no guts to any of that presentation except for their signature on the appointment paper.
Well, there may be some notes, there may be some, what experience do they have for the position? I mean, I was putting that out to test you people. because I wanted, and I didn't grasp that you thought the 45 days began with the appointment.
It's not really clear where the 45 days begin, but I would almost have to assume by reading this, that it would have to begin with the appointment. Because one,
I don't, yeah, I know what happens when you assume.
yeah.
Yes, Marilyn.
At the last council meeting, we had on our agenda the notice of an appointment of an individual to the library trustees. And within our backup documentation for our meeting, there was submitted the application form that interested parties are required to fill out: name, address, tell us a little bit about yourself, 2 references. And that's all the information that we had. It's my understanding that, you know, the town manager invites these people in to just chit chat and see why they want to serve. And we had a modest discussion, but there was really no, and Michael, you can jump in if I'm forgetting something, but there was really no major attempt to talk about qualifications. I mean, we just knew this person had done something for the library previously, was very interested, and we welcomed having someone serve. So, you know, I put them in a different category than police chief and department heads, and where the qualifications for the performance of a full-time job is far more substantive than serving on a committee. That's my thought. And maybe that's why the language is different.
Welcome, Phil, and Tom,
Phil.
you're up.
Thank you.
Hey, Phil.
Hey,
So
well,
I guess it doesn't really, it just clarifies that if we make the paragraph wording the same as the other, we have some continuity, and it doesn't really change it. It actually makes it a little more obvious when that 45 days starts.
Is that the only issue, where the 45 days starts, or is it giving all the background information of the individual and what their qualifications are?
Yeah, I guess that's the point. If we want to if we make the language the same, then at least we have some continuity for appointments. And I don't think like you said, there's not a lot of information like you would have a resume and all that, but there's information
Right.
that you have to fill out and that's presented. So that kind of nails it down, right?
It does. Any other discussion? Yes, Andy.
Could we at least maybe solve one of these issues here, being the 45 days, be specific as to when the 45 days starts?
You could. You know, if you think that it's not important for the submission of the, well, tell me what you're thinking.
I guess what I was thinking is, once the appointment is made, the person would receive a letter from the town manager, obviously with the date on it. We could say within 45 days of the date of appointment letter.
I hate to be anal, but there's no requirement there for, how is it going to be communicated to the town council?
Well, actually, kind of as an aside, it almost sounds like a Jeannie question, and she's obviously not with us today.
What I'm driving at is, what if we had, I know this will never happen, we have a town manager and town council who don't necessarily get along. Jeff, you had your hand.
Well, a couple other things you have to consider in here, which I just thought of as far as the appointment goes. You're actually not officially on board because you have to go through take ethics training and I forget what else and get a certificate. And that has to be signed off by the town clerk before you can even be sworn into the position. I don't know,
Which position?
any position, any of these positions.
Is that true?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
yeah. You have to, there's a couple different training things that are required by the state
Mhm.
that you have to take and then you online, and then there's a certificate that gets printed out at the end. That certificate has to be presented to the town clerk and get registered in. And then once that's done, then the town clerk can officially swear you into your office. But
Mhm.
until those are done, you're not officially on board, even though you may receive an appointment letter.
So no to Tom.
So if our only issue is to figure out when the 45 days starts,
Mhm.
we obviously didn't have a problem with the wording in section 2.
Mhm.
Can we just add that wording to this? And that's so we'll be adding within 45 days, and then we're going to add of the town manager's presentation of the name and qualifications of the recommended candidate for the position to the town council, or at the next regular town council meeting, whichever comes first. That would be
Right.
verbatim of the section that we already approved.
Is that a motion?
I would like to make that a motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Second, I saw Jeff first, I'm sorry. Discussion. So let me make sure of the wording.
Mhm.
The wording in your motion to insert after the word days
Yep.
would be of the town manager's presentation of the name and.
Can't hear you, Larry.
I'm sorry. Of the town manager's presentation of the name and qualifications of the recommended candidate for the position to the town council.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Discussion. Yes, Marilyn.
For the minutes, I need to find the location. What were you reading that from, Tom?
That is Article 3,
Right,
Section 2,
right.
number 1.
Article, okay.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No, I was gonna say, I think that's good if we've already agreed on that language in another section.
Yeah.
And that section is similar enough to this, that should certainly streamline it.
Yep. All right. Roll call vote. Marilyn, all those in favor, Marilyn Richards,
Yes.
Larry Levine, yes. Andy Fraser,
Yes,
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes.
Bill Adams.
I'm lost, so I'll
Okay.
pass on it.
Okay. So it's, how do we call this? We call this approved 5-0-1. All right, one abstention.
Thank you.
We're moving on to the next article, Article 6, Financial and Fiscal Procedures. Section 1, Annual Budget Process. The town manager shall set policy and procedures for the preparation of the town's budget, period. The town manager will determine the schedule for budget preparation within the parameters set by the Massachusetts general laws, period. All departments of the town shall follow the schedule and procedures for budget preparation as determined by the town manager, period. The town manager shall prepare and submit the budget to the town council, period. The town council shall hold one or more public hearings on the proposed budget, period. Copies shall be made available for public review prior to the public hearing as outlined in town bylaws, period. We'll do that paragraph and we'll move on after we discuss this. Any discussion, questions, or comments on this paragraph? Hearing and seeing none, no action on that paragraph. The second paragraph reads, the budget process shall include, at a minimum, comma, the following steps, colon. Step 1, the president of the town council shall call a joint meeting of the town council and the school committee prior to the commencement of the budget process to review the financial condition of the town, comma, revenue and expenditure forecasts, and other relevant information to be presented by the town manager in order to develop a coordinated budget, period. Step 2, the town manager and the town council shall meet to discuss the town council's priorities for the upcoming fiscal year and discuss the budget format, period. The town manager will provide the town council and the school committee a copy of the draft budget by April 1, period. Step 3, the town manager shall meet with the superintendent of schools to discuss the upcoming fiscal year budget prior to the submittal of the proposed operating budget, period. Let's stop there and discuss those 3 steps. Any comments, questions, discussion? Seeing none, I'll presume.
Tom had his hand.
Oh, Tom.
Sorry, that was
That's
late. I barely squeezed in there under the buzzer. No, when I was reading these steps, I was just thinking in a year like this year when there's dates in here to hit that obviously didn't get hit. I don't know that it's a huge deal, and I don't even know what language you would add for a pandemic. But there's other dates in step 4 and 5 that obviously, I don't think we adopted a budget by June 1st this year, and I don't know that it's that big of a deal. I just wanted to mention that there are dates in here, and obviously sometimes they won't get hit.
Yep. And correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the
Probably
town council approve like a month-to-month portion?
Right, and I don't know all of that.
And I mean, I guess we can't foresee circumstances like we see today.
Right.
And there's got to be some flexibility both in the charter and the people implementing it.
Right.
Yes, Marilyn.
And they were orders from the governor with respect to
That's
how we
true, too.
responded. So I would think that they would have superseded our charter at that moment in time anyway.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so I'm going to say no action on those first 3 steps. And now we'll move on to step 4. By May 1st, comma, the town manager will submit a proposed operating budget for all town agencies to the town council, comma, which shall include the school budget as adopted by the school committee, comma, for the ensuing fiscal year with an accompanying budget message and support documentation, period. The budget message submitted by the town manager shall explain the budget in fiscal terms and in terms of work programs for all town agencies, period. It shall outline the proposed fiscal priorities of the town for the ensuing fiscal year, comma, describe important features of the proposed budget, and indicate any major variations from the current budget, comma, fiscal policies, comma, expenditures and revenues together with reason for such changes, period. The proposed budget shall provide a complete fiscal plan of all town funds and activities and shall be in the form the town manager deems desirable, period. Step 5, the town council shall adopt the budget with or without amendments by June 1, period. Discussion on steps 4 and 5. Seeing and hearing none, I'll presume no action on those. Now we're on section 2. Expenditures in excess of appropriations. No official of the town, except in the case of a declared emergency, as stated in section 31 of chapter 44 of the general laws involving the health and safety of the people or their property, shall intentionally spend in any fiscal year any sum in excess of the appropriation duly made in accordance with law, nor involve the town in any contract for the future payment of money in excess of such appropriation, period. It is the intention of this section that the provisions of section 31 of chapter 44 of the general laws shall be strictly enforced, period. Discussion? Questions? Yes, Andy?
Enforced by who?
Well, eventually, the district attorney's office, there was an issue on this when the Charter Commission was formed of some things in violation, and we wanted, the Charter Commission then wanted, this is the law anyway,
Right.
but wanted to point it out. But I think probably if I don't want to speak as an attorney whether it's a criminal or civil offense, would depend on a lot of issues. But eventually, it could be the district attorney, it could be the state police, it could be the local police, it could be internally within the town's administration.
That's what I was thinking. You probably have a number of people or
Yeah,
positions that this would have to go through when you're talking about enforcement.
yeah.
Okay.
Other questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll presume no action. Section 3, Capital Improvement Program. Subsection A, Preparation. The town manager shall annually submit a capital improvement program to the town council in conjunction with the annual operating budget, period. The town manager may establish an advisory committee to assist in this effort as at the town manager's discretion, period. Discussion, questions, comments on that? Seeing none, no action there. Subsection B, contents. The capital improvement program shall include, number 1, a clear summary of its contents. 2, an itemization and justification of all capital improvements, including those of the school department, proposed to be undertaken during the next 5 fiscal years with supporting data. 3, cost estimates, recommended method of financing, and recommended time schedules. And 4, the estimated annual cost of operating and maintaining the facilities included in the program, period. Comments, discussion? Seeing none. Subsection C, public hearing. The town council shall publish, in a local newspaper, on the town bulletin board and on the town's website or other official online repository of municipal information, whether on the internet or accessed through another comparable technology, a summary of the capital improvement plan and a notice stating 1, the times and places where entire copies of the capital improvement plan are available for inspection by the public, and 2, the date, comma, time, and place not less than 14 days after such publication, comma, when a public hearing on said plan will be held by the town council, period. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action. Subsection D, adoption. At any time after the public hearing, but by June 1, comma, the town council shall by resolution adopt the capital improvement plan, comma, with or without amendment, comma, provided that each amendment must be voted separately and that any increase in the capital improvement plan as submitted must clearly identify the method of financing proposed to accomplish this increase, period. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none. Section 4, financial management standards. The town council may by bylaw establish reasonable standards relating to the management of financial systems and practices, period. Any standard adopted shall conform to modern concepts of financial management, period. Yes, Andy.
Has that been done through the bylaws?
Mm.
Do you want me to wait and look?
Uh,
Or
I
you
just
want me to
thought-
check for next
I just
meeting?
thought somebody might know offhand.
I don't know.
No,
Okay,
I will check by next meeting,
okay.
unless I quickly. No, I don't, we'll go back to that.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on that paragraph or section? Seeing none, okay. Section 5, independent audit. The town council shall provide for an annual audit of the books and accounts of the town to be made by a certified public accountant or a firm of accountants, comma, who have no personal interest, comma, direct or indirect, comma, in fiscal affairs of the town government or any of its offices, period. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none. I presume that's still going on.
Mhm.
Okay. And when the audit is done, do they also sometimes make recommendations for any changes?
I haven't seen any specifically. My understanding is that one will be happening soon if it hasn't already happened, and this audit is being driven by changes in department heads. There's an audit that needs to be done when we change the clerk's position, and COVID messed up a lot of the scheduling of that. Michael,
Okay.
you can jump in if I'm not saying it properly, but my understanding is if it hasn't been done, it's underway. Michael,
That's very accurate.
okay, thank you.
It's, I think, the accountant too. The clerk and the accountant
Mhm.
is required by law.
By bylaw, correct.
Okay. Next article is Article 7, Town Elections. Section 1, Town Elections, General and Preliminary. The regular general town election shall be held on the first Tuesday following the first Monday in June of each year, period. On the fifth Tuesday preceding every regular general town election, there shall be a preliminary election for the purpose of nominating candidates, period. The order of which names of candidates appear on the ballot for each office shall be determined by a drawing, comma, by lot, comma, conducted by the town clerk, comma, which shall be open to the public, period. Comments, questions, discussion? Seeing and hearing none, no action. Section 2, nonpartisan elections. All elections for town offices shall be nonpartisan, and election ballot shall be printed without any party mark, comma, emblem, comma, or other designation whatsoever, period. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action. Section 3, preliminary election. Subsection A, signature requirements. The number of signatures of voters required to place the name of a candidate on the official ballot to be used at a preliminary election shall be as follows, colon. For the office of town councilor and member of the school committee, comma, a minimum of 50 such signatures, period. Discussion, questions? Seeing none, no action on that paragraph. Subsection B, determination of candidates. If only one person is to be elected to an office, comma, the two persons receiving at a preliminary election the highest number of votes for nomination for any office shall be the sole candidates for that office whose names shall be printed on the official ballots to be used at the regular general town election at which such office is to be voted upon, comma, and no acceptance of a nomination shall be necessary to its validity, period. If two or more persons are to be elected to the same office at such regular election, comma, the several persons, comma, in number equal to twice the number so as to be elected, comma, receiving at such preliminary election the highest number of votes for nomination for that office shall be the sole candidates for that office whose name shall be printed on the official ballots, period. If the preliminary election results in a tie vote among candidates for nomination receiving the lowest number of votes, which, comma, but for said tie vote, comma, would entitle a person receiving the same to have his or her name printed on the official ballots for the election, comma, all candidates participating in said tie vote shall have their names printed on the official ballot, comma, although in consequence thereof, there shall be printed on such ballot the names of candidates exceeding twice the number to be elected, period. Questions, comments?
That was good.
I will tell you that that took a long time to discuss and write that paragraph. Right, Ralph? Ralph, are you there?
I'm here. I'm having a difficult time hearing everyone. I'm probably going to sign off and then sign on again.
Okay. Andy, you had your hand.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you could read that paragraph again, but then I decided you would not find that.
Oh, God. I'd be glad to.
No.
Any other questions or comments? I'll put down
I
no
do want to throw,
action. Go ahead, Marilyn.
the question that's on the ballot for this election about question 2, in priority voting, not to get into whether that's good or bad, the point is, if that were to pass, would that have an impact on this paragraph in terms of choice voting?
I think you've got to, if that happens, you've got to ask the town's lawyer.
Got it. Okay.
Or there might be guidance either from the Secretary of State's office or Jeannie might know the answer to that.
So then we'll leave it alone for now. Okay.
Okay.
Just thought I'd throw it in there.
Subparagraph C, condition making preliminary unnecessary. If at the expiration of time for filing statements of candidates to be voted upon at any preliminary election, not more than twice as many such statements have been filed with the Board of Registrars for an office as candidates are to be elected to such office, comma, the candidates whose statements have been filed with the Board of Registrars shall be deemed to have been nominated to such office, comma, and their names shall be voted upon for such office at the succeeding general election, comma, and the Board of Registrars shall not print their names on the ballots to be used at said preliminary election, and no other nomination to such office shall be made, period. If in consequence it shall appear that no names are to be printed upon the official ballots, comma, no preliminary election shall be held, period. Questions, comments? I'll assume no action. Section 4, application of general laws. Except as provided in this charter, comma, all town elections shall be governed by the laws of the Commonwealth relating to the right to vote, comma, the registration of voters, comma, the nomination of candidates, comma, the conduct of preliminary, comma, general and special elections, comma, the submission of charters, comma, charter amendments, and other propositions to the voters, comma, the counting of votes, comma, the recounting of votes, comma, and the determination of results, period. Questions, comments?
Are there any other provisions in this charter that would cover that topic? Anybody know off the top of their head?
So can I jump in, Larry? Exactly where
Yes,
are
yes,
we?
yes, I'm sorry.
Whereabouts in Article 7? Town
Section
elections?
4. Yes, section 4.
Page
Thank you.
18.
Andy, to answer your question, the only one I could think of that might be here in the charter would be about charter amendments. Because if you go to Article 9, there's this section about charter changes that's saying the charter may be replaced, revised, or amended in accordance with any procedure made available under the Constitution of the Commonwealth or general or
Okay,
special law. So, I mean, it's really it's saying you go to state law, which is what this paragraph seems to say. So I don't know if there are any specifics other than that.
okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So hearing or seeing no other questions, comments, I'll assume no action on section 4. Article 8, citizen relief mechanisms. Section 1, general conditions. Signatures to any petition need not all be on one paper, comma, but all papers pertaining to any one measure shall be fastened together and, I'm sorry to laugh, and shall be filed as a single instrument, comma, with the endorsement on it of the name and address of the person designated as filing the papers, period. With each signature on the petition, there shall also appear the street and number of the residence of each voter signing the petition, period. Questions, comments? Seeing none, no action.
Larry, just a quick question.
Huh?
So if someone files a petition
Uh-huh.
and they join all the papers together and they need X number of signatures,
Mhm.
and it's found out that they don't have enough signatures,
Uh-huh.
so they grab another sheet and they go out and get more signatures. Under this, it sounds like you can't do that because everything's got to be turned in at once. Or in that case, do they hand back all the original and then you go out and get more?
That's a question asked town council. SEL.
Perfect, thank you.
Or the attorney general. I'm sorry.
Jeannie.
We have time for one more. Section 2, petitions to town council or school committee. The town council or the school committee shall hold a public hearing and act with respect to every petition which is addressed to it, comma, which is signed by a minimum of 100 voters and which seeks the passage of a measure, period. The hearing shall be held by the town council or the school committee, comma, in either case, comma, by a committee or subcommittee thereof, and the action by the town council or the school committee shall be taken no later than 3 months after the petition is filed with the clerk of the council or the secretary of the school committee, comma, as may be appropriate, period. Hearings on two or more petitions filed under this section may be held at the same time and place, period. The clerk of the council or the secretary of the school committee shall mail notice of the hearing to the 10 persons whose name appear first on the petition at least 7 days before the hearing, period. Notice, comma, by publication of all such hearings, comma, shall be at the town's expense, period. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, no action on that section. And we still have time. Section 3, citizen initiative petitions. Subsection A, commencement. Initiative procedures shall be started by the filing of a proposed initiative petition with the clerk of the town council or the secretary, excuse me, or the secretary of the school committee, period. The initial petition shall be addressed to the town council or to the school committee and shall contain a request for the passage of a particular measure which shall be set forth in full in the initial petition, period. The initial petition shall be signed by a minimum of 50 voters, stating those voters will constitute the petitioner's committee and be responsible for circulating the petition and filing it in proper form pursuant to subsection C, period. Discussion, questions, comments? Seeing
Start,
and
Larry.
hearing none? I'm sorry.
Nope. So Larry, we get a lot of questions with regards to the difference between an initiative petition and a petition to the town council or school committee. People are confused on section 2 and 3.
Mhm.
It would appear as though section 3, you only need 50 signatures to start it. And section 2, you need 100 signatures. And the confusion is, which one do I do? Why do I do one over another?
Mhm.
What's the difference between the two?
And you're going to explain it.
Well, I would normally explain it, except that they come into the town clerk, and with all due respect, nothing against Jeannie or the past town clerk, but they have a hard time explaining which one they should go with, why they should do one over another, what the difference is in between the two of them. And I can understand why. most people think that a petition to the town council is a petition to the town council, that there shouldn't be any difference between the two.
And can you give some background from the Charter Commission, why we had differences?
If I remember right, the first section 2, I'm trying to think of the way this was set up. One of them, you can basically appeal, get more signatures, and have it put onto a ballot. And the other one, from what I can tell, you can't.
Do you want to wait till we finish this? Well, this particular section may give us the answer in the other subsections.
As long as we keep that in the back of our mind, I have no problems going forwards. I just, it's a lot of confusion with people
Okay,
and the counselors also. I think this is a section we really have to look at and consider, do we need both? Would one work over another? Is there a reason for both?
okay. So would everyone try and read the entirety of section 3, because we're going to stop here, to see if it becomes either apparent or it needs to be clarified what the difference between the two is. And we'll pick it up with section 3, subsection A at our next meeting, which will be same place,
1 week from today. Yep.
Tuesday, October 27th, 4:30, same place.
Correct.
Everyone good?
Yep.
Anything else before the committee today?
So Larry, I will not be at the next meeting at all.
How can we
But what I would
conduct
like to do
ourselves?
is send you some information. I'll review this and send you an email with some of my thoughts on it.
Good, good.
So it gives you a heads up on where I'm at.
I'm trying to think as we sit. There was a difference and I just can't quickly respond.
Mr.
So-
Chairman, I would just, for the sake of information for the members, all of the discussions relative to that issue as well as every other issue are still available on our YouTube page.
All
There
right.
was a long Saturday meeting in November. I can
Yep.
send the link, but it just may be a source of clarification.
Yep,
Just offering
thank
that.
you, Don.
Can you
Thank
get
you,
it?
Dr. Dunn.
John?
I will send the link to Larry and he can share it out.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
I saw Jeff's hand. Is there a second?
Second.
Take your pick, Marilyn.
Andy,
All those in favor, Marilyn Richards,
yes.
Larry Levine, yes, Andy Frazier,
Yes.
Tom Christensen,
Yes.
Jeff Bosworth,
Yes.
Bill Adams,
Yes.
Ralph Page.
Yes.
It's unanimous. Stay well, people. Good job today.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dr. Mackey.